This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Do you remember building a treehouse when you were a kid? Oh man, those are like the most fun days ever. Today we're going to be building our own treehouse in our backyard. We're looking at Backyard Builder's Treehouse from Crash of Games, designed by David Short and illustrated by Vincent Dutray. It is a quick 10-minute game. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. Everyone in the game starts with their own little ladder. This is the bottom of their tree, and the start player gets this cool little hammer. Now, to start the game, the start player will draw as many cards as there are players. In this case, let's say there's 3 players. He'd draw 3 cards. Now, at the beginning of every turn, you're drawing a card. So you'll always have the number of players plus 1 in your hands. Now let's take a look at these cards. Now, I want to show you the artwork on this card. It's amazing. This game is illustrated by Vincent Dutray, who's got a very good style that everyone pretty much knows about. And so the cards are colors and numbers. And you're going to basically draft one of these and place it on your tree, and then you're going to pass all these cards to the next player. Now, you have to keep in mind that as you're drafting, the next card you play, each of these cards has a bottom floor and a top floor. And what you have to make sure is that your bottom floor has to match your current top floor in either number or color. Well, at the beginning of the game, it doesn't much matter because we have this, but you can see if I took this one, I have a good opportunity to possibly get green later. Now keep in mind that whenever it's your turn, if you don't like or you can't place any of these colors, you can always flip it over and use the 2's wilds. The backs of all these cards are basically both 2's for wild colors. It's a way to bail you out if you can't place anything. But I like this one because it's a ton of points. Let's go for that. So I have this here. I'm going to put the 4 here. So I had 4 blue. So my next card has to either be a green or a 4 on the bottom floor of the card. So I would have passed these 3 cards to the next player. They would draw 1 and play 1. The next player would draw 1 and play 1, and then it would come back to me. Now by the time it's my turn, here's the 4 cards I have to choose from. I like this one because I can match the 4, it's a ton of points, and it's a double 4, and I can start to build up a color run. This is important because the player who has the longest color run of the same color at the end is going to get 1 point for each of those color runs. So let's take a look. And here's how my tree looks like after the second turn. Now with 3 players, we're going to play till we have 6 cards played. So from 2 to 5 players, you're playing either 4 through 7 cards depending on the amount of players. So after all the turns for me, let's look up there. I've got 2 4s, that 4 mated with that 4, that purple 4 mated with the purple 2, the purple 2 mated with the purple 3, the blue 3 matched with another blue 3, and then I got kind of screwed up and I had to play some wilds. At the top you put a card that looks like that, which looks kind of cool. So if I added up all the numbers, I'd have 36 points, but I have the longest color run. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors that are the same color, and I have the most. And so I would get 5 more points because I have 5 floors and I have the most. So I would have 41 points, and whoever has the most points is the winner. If you're tied, the person furthest away from first player wins. Now you can also play with an advanced variant. What I highly recommend is you take these cards and you'll randomly have 1 for everybody in the game. And they do different things. So at the end of the game, the one with the most wild cards would get 7 points. Or maybe in a different game, Teacher's Pet. End the game with no mixed color treehouse cards in your treehouse. Or end the game with the fewest colors in your treehouse with 5 points. Or end the game with the most 3-point floors in your treehouse with 4 points. And there's a ton of these. When I first got this game in the mail, I looked at the box and I went, oh, are we playing Lewis and Clark? You know, Vincent Dutray, the illustrator here, is amazing. He's one of the best in the business. He has a style that's very easy to point out. And as soon as I saw this, I went, oh, Vincent Dutray, awesome. So this is a very, very simple and light game. I mean, I'm talking to the point where you could play this with some elderly people in a senior center that have never played anything other than Uno, and you could bring this to them and teach them and have them playing it in minutes. That's how easy this game is. But at the same time, the decisions to be made, even though it's a short game, are interesting enough and fun enough that gamer enthusiasts like myself, I think, will like this game. I liked it a ton. I gotta say, the artwork really does draw you in because you're looking at the artwork on there, building that big treehouse that they get huge. I mean, they span up. Your thing's going up way big on the table, and you got a bunch of them going on. It looks cool while it's out. The artwork's awesome. The decisions are simple. Now this is designed by David Short, same person who did, I believe, Yardmaster Express. And as I was playing this game, I thought, man, this feels very similar to Yardmaster Express. Essentially, this is the successor to that game. It's extremely similar. I mean, you're just drafting a card, playing it down, you have to match the color of the number, and you're passing the cards. And so drafting games are fun and they're interesting. And I think it's a good mechanism to teach people that have not played a lot of hobby board games and get them into this great hobby. And, you know, typically a lot of people throw around, you know, Sushi Go as being the go-to beginner drafting game. And I gotta say that this has gotta be it now. Because even when you're teaching beginners drafting, if everyone's picking up a card and passing it to someone else and everyone's doing that, almost all the time, if you have someone that's never done drafting before, someone's gonna have more cards than someone else. Someone has a pile sitting in front of someone else. Someone has 2 piles. It always gets messed up, as simple as it seems to us gamer enthusiasts. Sometimes it's just hard for normal non-gamer enthusiasts to do it. This absolutely takes that problem and throws it out the window because there's only one set of cards. You're passing a set of cards, that player's just drawing a card, picking one, and then passing that one set. So you don't get that mix-up that you sometimes do at Sushi Go when you're trying to teach a drafting game to a non-gaming enthusiast. So I really like that. It is super simple, it's super short, but the artwork draws you in, it's fun to build tree houses. You can add those extra special goals, which I highly recommend. I don't care how, this says what, ages 6 and up? Easily 6-year-olds could play this, but I would almost always introduce those goals because that's really what makes the game interesting. Is you're trying to draft against the other people and trying to figure out, okay, we're all drafting for the same goal here, how can I screw them up as much as possible? So it's simple. I'm not trying to say this is a superly deep strategic game. It's super light, but yet for a game that is this light and this easy to teach and there's only 10 minutes, there's a good amount of decisions to make during it, and I really like that. So for that reason, I am keeping this in my gaming library so I can teach other people drafting with a really cool game. And since this game replaced Yardmaster Express for me for the beginner teaching version of a drafting card game, it's getting in there to that gaming library. So let's induct it properly with a saxophone serenade.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.